USA wants to bring you the reality behind the melting pot that this country is. So first, let's take a look at Andrea Arenas' story about an Afro-American film festival here in Washington, D.C. The festival was an amazing success here, to the surprise of their organizers. Let's take a look.
The New African Films Festival opened its doors for the first time for the residents of Washington, D.C. 10 years ago. Back then, Mawisa Montali, Director of Public Relations of the NGO Trans-Africa, could not have imagined the event that his organization helped to organize would be as popular as welcomed as it currently is, especially among African Americans.
You can see that there's an interest. People are waiting to see the festival. Also, when we're picking the films, 10 years ago, there were fewer selections from the continent. Now there's so many.
Happy Independence Day.
One of the most acclaimed films this year was based on the second book written by Nigerian author Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. Her first literary success, Half of a Yellow Sun, still captivates readers. In the historic novel, the author recalls the hardships of the characters that have been divided by the Biafra War, a civil war that took place in Nigeria in the 60s, in which various ethnic groups clashed in that African country, a past that few African Americans know, and the big screen helps them see reality.
Sometimes only a particular viewpoint about African films, about Africa, is put out there. So it's good to also be able to show stories being told by Africans about what goes on in Africa.
It's a voice, a collective voice, and collective stories that are lesser told, and perspectives that are so unique, not only because they are of Africa, but certainly of the experiences of Africans.
I think there's a lot of misconceptions about Africa, and I feel like the more these films are being shown, the more books are written, the more people get to understand about Africa and its culture. And it will help people understand that it's not that we're living in huts, it's like we actually have a rich tradition, have a rich history.
Chimamanda asserted that the success of African films should not surprise anyone.
I'm really looking forward to a time when we don't even have to talk about, oh, isn't it interesting that black people were honored this year, you know.
For Africans that live far from their countries, for African Americans that have been living for decades in the U.S., and also for the other U.S. citizens, African films have opened a window into that continent, its peoples, its culture, and its history.
Andrea Arenas para Telesur, Washington.